competition.
So Dennis, can you share something about yourself first of all, and about your company, the past, the future, well, what you used to be, what you are going to be, and something like this?
I'm a math guy. And as an Asian guy, I did math when I was young. I didn't speak English until I was 7. So I competed in math contests, which eventually led to when I ran analytics at Yahoo. And then started my own company that does optimization on Facebook ads and drives traffic. And we believe that when you look at all the data that's available, whether it's on Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere else, when you can segment those audiences, it's really just a big math formula where you're solving towards the goal being traffic, conversions, phone calls, leads, something like this. So for us, our vision is to take the knowledge that we have on how do we optimize and just put it out there freely for everybody to share and to learn. So we're really an education company, but we pay our bills by doing consulting for some of the really big brands.
And what is the direction you are moving to with Blitzmetrics? So what are your plans for the future of the company?
So we have a framework that we call metrics, analysis, action. And metrics is what are the reports. So we have a lot of tools that will tell you how many fans you have and how many retweets there were, and they generate reports just like you would get out of Google Analytics, except the social side of things. We want to put all those things out there for free because we believe that reports are worth almost nothing. There's so many tools out there. Every day I see these companies, right? Oh, they raised $10 million to create reports. So we're going to give away all these reports for free, because what's important is the logic on top of those reports. So how did I perform against my goal? Why did sales go up or down? Why did my conversion rate go up or down? Why is my open rate up or down for my email? So we're going to build that logic that sits on top of the reports to make recommendations and then run it into ads. And when people run ads, that's when we're going to make money, because we'll charge anywhere from 10 to 20% on whatever you might spend for your ad program, because the reports are free, right? Because if we give out the reports for free, and then we either for free or close to free give out the analysis that sits on top of it, which may require some time, then all of the recommendations and implementation will be tied directly to your goal, because then when you go back and look at the reports, you'll see how you're doing versus the original goal that you stated. So then it's proof that the optimization that we're doing together works. And the thing is, we're based in the United States, and we're a small team. We have only 25 people. But the demand out there for this is so much higher. So for us to be successful, we want to openly share our techniques. We want to train everyone else on these models on how to optimize, so that we can partner with other agencies, partner with guys who service dentists or car dealerships or hotels, or who run marketing conferences in Ukraine. Whatever it might be, we want to power them so they can serve the underlying customers, because we're really, like I was saying before, a math engineering based company.
You mentioned that you are a small company, well, relatively small, 25 people. And do you think this is the ultimate size for a marketing agency? In your opinion, what would be the best size for the company to be well-performing and to run smoothly?
So there are different models depending on the company size. So for us, we're functioning as a quasi-agency and software company. Now, if you're an agency, the way you scale is by hiring more people. And so you make more money as an agency, which is number of people times billable rate. So you increase your retainer, you increase your people. Those are the only ways that you can grow your revenue. But if you're a software company like us, and you charge a monthly fee for usage of the software, then it could be like a Google AdWords. It could be like whatever software company you want to look at, where you can maintain a base of maybe only 20, 30 people, but your revenue can grow exponentially. Now for us, we have to manage both of those in the short run, because everything we build in our software is based on customer direct feedback. So being here at the optimization conference is great, because we're learning what people are doing here in Ukraine and how do we make things a lot simpler. So we have to act like a school, we have to listen, we want to work with partners so that ultimately we can build the software that incorporates all the logic, because the more we learn, the more we can build in the software. So from anyone else's perspective, we look like a university, except the quality is better. It's based on real life stuff. People are working on real clients, and it's free.
And what would be your advice to brands to manage marketing in-house, or to outsource it or hire an agency?
So you should always own content and brand strategy in-house, because that's the essence of, if you're a brand manager, marketing manager, VP of marketing, CMO, then you have to own where you're going. You have to own how your channels play together, your voice, what you stand for, activating your customers, having the expertise that only you can provide. If you hire an agency to come in and create your materials, now they could do the Photoshop and do the graphics, but they won't have the credibility that's necessary that really stands for where your brand is. So what you do is you can outsource the technical components. Like you could outsource building apps, you could outsource when you have a creative brief already, but the brand has to own the experience, own the customer relationship, the same way that you have an architect for your house, but you might hire someone else to hammer all the nails. And so we like that model because we don't want to be an ongoing agency that's doing all of this stuff. We want to be able to come in and tweak, and where it's necessary, do some programming, set up ad campaigns. But the content has to come from the underlying client. So the model we like to look at, which we've seen successful for a lot of agencies out there, and brands as well, is produce great content and then amplify that to the other people that need to see that content. And we're really good at amplifying, which is segmentation against your email list, segmentation against your Facebook audience, and then making sure that each of those segments are seeing the content that you already have. So what you have mapped out in email, like we talked about yesterday, right? So emails about these different segments and the different content that you want to match against them. You do the same thing in Facebook. Now for us, with each of the clients we work with, we don't have, we're not MTV, we're not Jack Daniels, but we work with guys like that.
Yeah, so basically your advice is...
Did we start already?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to cut all that, all right.
Your advice is to have content, email marketing, and strategy in-house, and, well, everything else can be outsourced or outsourced to an agency.
So the analytics and the engineering behind that is something we think should be outsourced, unless the team is big enough that they can have their own analytics team and optimization team. It's usually easier, of course I'm biased, where you can hire someone like us or hire another agency that can make sure that your content is being seen by the particular people that you want to see. Now for that, it takes a little bit of data mining because you have things like the Facebook graph, you have ways of pulling lots and lots of small audience groups for targeting. That's the kind of thing that is probably best to hire somebody just for a few hours or just to get you started, and then when you have people who are in-house who have those skills, you can teach them how to do it so you can own it. So I'm very much a big fan of the model where you bring in an outsider initially to show you how to do it, but you participate at every step. So the first step is we do it and you watch. Second step is you do it and we watch. And the third step, it's all yours. And that way you get the best of both worlds versus trying to hire someone internally who maybe, it'll take them a lot longer to get to where they need to go.
And what would be your top 3 tips to get a great coverage on Facebook?
So first is a page post ad. So when people post on Facebook, they usually get only 5% newsfeed coverage. So if you have 100,000 fans, then only 5,000 people are going to see it. So if you turn on a page post ad that's always targeted against your fans, then it's always going to work. Number 2 is media coverage. So who are the other people in your industry that you would like to influence that if they were to write about you, you would get a lot of great exposure, what some people call earned media or PR coverage, right? So you workplace target all of those people. So for us, when we write a great article, let's say there was an article in the LA Times that talked about some of the research that we put out there on Facebook, we then target that to all the people who work at Mashable and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and USA Today and the Washington Post, because then that causes those journalists to see that we were already written up in NPR or all these USA Today, these kinds of places, and so that continues to get us more coverage. So for anyone listening to this, you'd want to do the same thing. What is the piece of content that you're very proud of, where you got shown in the newspaper, you were on TV, or a client had a case study where they talked about how successful they were and they used your services? Or even if you're a big brand, what kind of promotions are you tied with? Maybe you sponsor the Olympics, maybe you have the Little League team that, if you're a small business, but there's other affiliations and content out there, a third-party endorsement, not what's on your website, but what's on someone else's website that's very trustworthy. Take that, share it on your Facebook page, and then target all the other people who are going to the optimization conference, who are in your industry. Maybe you're a veterinarian, so target all the other veterinarians, right? So they can see this, and that's how you really get power, because Facebook is word of mouth. So you want to try to take the good things and you want to amplify it against the audience that you know is going to appreciate that and spread it for you.
And well, you're one of those few companies who are trusted by Google, by Facebook. um, you have well, tight connections with Mark Zuckerberg, and would you recommend something to him? Well, do you sometimes wish to tell him, well, do this and that with your product, with Facebook?
So I've talked to Mark about this several times over the last few years. And he is somebody who is so intelligent that I don't think he has quite the understanding that ordinary people are not engineers. And even though Facebook has all of these tools out here, and it's true, you can build amazing apps if you're a great engineer and you understand how to write FQL and build apps. But for the average marketer, it's going to be very difficult. And what he told me 3 years ago when we had lunch, he said that advertising does not have to be interruptive. It doesn't have to be something where it's constantly in your face and trying to yell at you and get you, like, get out of my way, these advertisements. In Facebook, because it's content based on what your friends are doing and stuff that you're interested in, he said, you know, we can create a system that will reward advertisers that say things that are relevant where, you know, I know you checked in at Chipotle or you went to McDonald's or you did this. Well, McDonald's could then pay to show that that's just where you were. McDonald's benefits. I benefit because we're friends, and I always want to know what my friends are doing. So that's the social connection where brands are amplifying the actions of what their fans are doing, and they're getting that endorsement. It's always based on what someone else says about the brand. That's how word of mouth and social advertising is different. So I told him that all of these things are possible, but he's made it too difficult, and they need to make it a lot easier.
And recently there's been an update to the EdgeRank algorithm. What do you think about it? What changed and why?
So first off, Facebook says that there is not an EdgeRank algorithm. Now, a lot of people who are in the SEO space, they like to talk about PageRank or Google with all these different factors, and so they naturally apply that same mentality over into Facebook to say, oh, there's these different factors, and there are. Now, the concept of EdgeRank exists, and EdgeRank is nothing more than the connection between any number of objects. So you and I are users on Facebook, and those are objects, and then the connection between us, that's an edge. So the edge between you and your car and your other friends, and the edges between, you can think of all these little lines that are connected together, those are edges. So Facebook is looking at who you're interacting with more and naturally showing you things that it thinks you like based on that. So there is no magic behind that. I don't think there's any way you can really game it except to say, hey, so you saw Facebook a couple weeks ago said, if you post a lot of silly photos that are low quality, you know, the cats, or please like this, or if you actually come out and say, please like and share, that actually could penalize you. And it is true that if you participate in a conversation